Would you believe me if I told you that a pedal that only costs $180 could be your practice rig, your recording interface, and your entire pedal board for live shows? I mean, I wouldn't believe me either, so let's find out if it's true together. Welcome to Get Offset. My name is Emily, and you look great, truly. Today I'm showing off the Line 6 Pod Express, the guitar version. I previously demoed the bass version, so check that out if you're a bassist. Link in the video description, maybe one of those little cards that pops up over there, I don't know. The Line 6 Pod Express has a lot going on. Let's talk with the inputs and outputs. It has mono in and stereo out, which is great. All the effects except for distortion are in stereo. There's also a USB-C connection, which I'll talk about in a bit, and a TRS foot switch. Output, input, so you could put in a volume pedal and a foot switch, or a dual foot switch, 2 foot switches, whichever. We'll talk about that later also. On the side, you will have an 1/8 inch headphone socket and headphone volume control. One downside of this pedal that I just realized kind of recently is that if you adjust the headphone volume on the side, and that's one of those little spinny wheels, it does affect the output from the stereo outs, the 1/4 inch outs. So if you're not getting the output you're expecting from the Pod Express, check that first. As for the USB connectivity, you can use it as an audio interface, which is really, really neat, or you can plug it into your phone and jam along to music on your phone, which is great for practice, both at home and like while traveling. Now let's talk about the stuff you can actually see, because you couldn't see any of those things. In the middle there, that's the amp button. It is a knob and a button, so it's both. I said it the right way. You have 7 amps to choose from, each matched with a cabinet. You can even mix and match cabinets, because I know a lot of you like to choose your own cabs. Personally, I have a power cab, so if I were using the power cab, I would turn off the cabinets but leave the amp on. Here's how the effects are ordered. We have distortion there in front of the amp and the cabinet. Right after that would be the volume pedal if you are using one. Then we have modulation, stereo, the delay and looper, also in stereo, and the reverb, which you guessed it, stereo. You can probably see that there's a tap foot switch here, and that taps in the tempo for modulation and delay effects. But if you hold down that foot switch, you can tune. So let's go ahead and do that. Keep an eye on the color wheel around the amp selector while I tune. I love how easy that tuner is to read. The Line 6 team so clearly put a lot of thought into making that tuner functional, and it pays off. It is best for top-off tuning versus like switching from standard tuning to DADGAD or something like that, but it's a great thing to have on this pedal. We're going to start by selecting an amp model, and they are all based on real amps. Clean is a Fender Princeton Reverb. Special is a Line 6 Litigator. Chime is a Matchless DC30, channel 1, clean. Dynamic is the Ben Adrian Cartographer. Crunch is a Friedman BE100, BE/HBE. Heavy is the Line 6 Oblivion. Lead is a PD5150. Sorry, no insane mode here, because you can't win them all. You can opt to turn off the amp and the cabinets for that matter by turning it basically to the 8th spot, which turns off all the lights. So then you can just use the effects with a regular amp. So let's pick an amp and fine tune it. Yes, you can do a lot more than just set the amp. You can adjust the channel volume, gain, bass, mids, treble, and more by holding down the Alt button, right there and turning the corresponding knob. Don't worry, everything is labeled. So I like this sound, but I'd like to turn the gain down just a little bit. So. Yeah, it's nice. Let's turn up the channel volume some to compensate for that. So I think that sounds really good. We can also adjust the mids, the bass, the treble, as I already mentioned. So. Yeah, let's just go with that. There are a few things that you can change that aren't labeled. One being the amp master volume and another being the presence. To change the amp master volume, you hold the Alt button and the tap switch while turning delay. To adjust the presence, you hold the Alt and tap while turning the reverb knob. And I'm not going to do that, but what I am going to do is go through changing some of the cabinets. I'm not going to like list the cabinets or even go through all of them, but I'll have them on the screen right here. And I'm actually going to hand the guitar to my husband and ask him to just play an open E chord. I'm sorry to put you on the spot, Rick. He knows what an open E chord is. He's a bassist, but he knows how to do an open E. Can I get an open E, sweetheart? All right, so I'm going to push those. Go, another one, please. Another one, please. Just keep strumming. Just keep strumming. All right, let's just go with that. Thank you so much. Let's hear it for Rick. He is helping me film today. So like I mentioned before, as with the amp modes, you can turn off the cabs, and you saw that when I was holding those buttons down and the light indicator turned off completely. So if you have your own preferred IRs, you might just run that instead. All right, now for the fun stuff, the effects. We are going to go in signal chain order and start with distortion. But in general, all the knobs work the same way. You have 4 takes on any effect type, and as you turn the dial, you get more of that given effect. And you'll see that with that amp indicator light, which will be, that's going to be the theme of the pedal. So let's start with turning those down. Boost. Boost is based on a Klon Centaur. Look at those lights light up. Not my favorite pedal, but I'm sure a lot of people will be happy to have a Klon. So yeah, as we turn that knob, we see the number of lights increase. That's more gain. All right, let's go to overdrive next. That's based on the Ibanez TS808 Tube Screamer. And you'll see I've run out of lights on the boost, and they start all the way over with the Tube Screamer. Pretty nice. Is that all I got? All right. Next we have Distortion, which is a Keeley modded Boss DS1. Last but not least, we have Fuzz, which is based on the 73 EHX Ram's Head Big Muff Pie. And you may notice that when I'm not playing, you don't have that kind of sound. There's no noise happening when I'm not playing, even when the gain is cranked. And I think that's because there is a noise gate on this pedal, and that is fine tunable, but I really appreciate having that noise gate. But yes, we're here for the fuzz. Yeah, that sounds massive. And if you did watch my bass video, there's some overlap here. The Klon and the Big Muff Pie are both featured on the bass version of this pedal, and that's just an interesting little note. I liked how the Klon sounded better on bass, weirdly, but I like how this fuzz sounds better on guitar, even though I also liked it on bass. But again, you can watch that video if you want to. All right, let's move on to modulation. First, we have Chorus, which is based on a modded Orion SCHZ chorus. Ooh. There you go, and I just wanted to show off the tap for you there. Let's crank that chorus. Next up, we have Flanger. That's based on the MXR 117 Flanger. It's kind of subtle. Oh, that's not subtle. Next we have Phaser, and that's an MXR Phase 90 thing. Some country uses Phaser sometimes. I don't know why I thought I should play that when I'm not warmed up. Last but not least, we have Tremolo, which is based on the Fender optical tremolo circuit, so not even a pedal at all. So nice. It's not personally my favorite tremolo, but I'm really always very happy to have a tremolo in a pedal like this. Let's turn off the modulation and go into the delay/looper. First up, we have Analog, and that's based on an Adrian modded Boss DM2. Ooh. Interesting. As we turn up the knob, for lack of a better word, I believe what we are doing is increasing both the number of repeats and the overall mix. So that's, not a basic repeat, but that's what we have digital for. Let me turn it up all the way. Nice. So we have digital and nice. Let's get that faster. There we go. That's a line 6 original. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Sorry for the vocal fry. You're kind of limited on speed by how quickly you can tap. And that's about as quickly as I can get that tap done. So even if we draw off the repeats, all the way, it's not really quite a slapback. I feel like a slapback has to be a little bit faster, but oops, this way. Nice. All right, next up, we have tape, and that's based on the Maestro Echoplex EP3. Oh, that's not lovely. Ooh. Okay, that's really cool. Oh, I love that. Oh God. We have to keep going. Our last delay mode is Pong. Again, these are all in stereo, so I hope you're listening with headphones. It's a line 6 original. Nice. Before I get to the looper, if you're enjoying this video, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. Those are great, totally free ways to support Get Offset and stay in the loop for new and upcoming videos. You can also support Get Offset by using the affiliate links in the video description. My favorite affiliate program is Sweetwater, and you can order the Pod Express directly from them. Anytime you buy something through my Sweetwater link, I get a small portion of that sale shared with me. So it's a great way to support this channel doing things that, let's be honest with ourselves and each other, we were probably going to do anyway. So now, yes, the looper. Unfortunately, you can't use the delay with the looper, but I'd rather lose delay than reverb with the looper, but whatever. It's the one button looper we all know and love, so it's really easy and intuitive. Press the on switch to record. Press it again to start playback. Press it again to overdub. And if you need to delete the last loop because it was that, hold the on down for 1 second. Double press to stop playback. And while recording and playback are stopped, hold on to delete the loop. Yeah. Easy as that. And last but certainly not least, I think I've said that a few times, but reverb. These are all line 6 originals, starting with Spring. Okay. I'm going to turn the delay down just in case. Nice. Crank that Spring. I'd call that drippy. Then we have Hall. Up next is plate, which I like a lot. And finally, space. Yeah, it's kind of like a shimmery thing. Lovely. All right, let's blend some effects. I'm going to go with some spring reverb, some tape delay maybe. Chorus. I briefly touched on this, I think, but the middle amp knob is also a button. Press it down to save your preset. So you also have to choose the location, and there are 21 available preset slots. So we have this purple, and we can see it kind of moving around. There's the white. I believe this is the first block. I believe yellow is the second block. And that purple is the last block. So I'm going to go to the white block here. And I want to save this in the third position under white. Once you've found your preferred slot, you press the amp button again to save it. And that double flash that you saw means it worked. So I'm obviously in my preset right now, but to access your presets, you hold down both foot switches at once. And you can turn the knob to find your other presets. Or you can use the tap to go forward. And on to go backwards. And then you press them both again to exit that mode. This is so slick. You can obviously navigate more quickly if you bend over and turn that knob, but being able to tap through your presets makes this really appealing for live performances. Okay, here's something I didn't get to cover in my bass demo, but we need to talk about the volume pedal and the foot switches. You can connect two devices with a dual TS to TRS splitter like this one. So this is my TRS side and this is my dual TS side. You can connect a volume pedal and a foot switch or two extra foot switches. You just have to make sure the foot switches are momentary, aka non-latching. So if you step on it and it doesn't go click click, that probably means it's not latching. If you're using a volume pedal, you'll want to make sure the volume pedal is connected to tip, and this one is labeled thankfully, so the black is tip and the red is ring. But if you're using two foot switches, technically FS3 is tip and FS4 is ring. So to get this to work, you need to go into the global settings and assign foot switches. So let's go ahead and plug this in and do that. Ouch. I have my foot switches set up. The black one is going to be FS3, the white is going to be FS4, and we want these to kick on different effects. So I think I'm going to want the black to kick on the fuzz and the white to click on the chorus or modulation. So let's go into global settings and get that done. You just have to hold down the Alt button and the Amp button, and we get this beautiful ring with all of these colors, 7 color wheels to be exact. And the FS3 is on this 6 color wheel, and FS4 is on the last one. But first, we need to go to this third one and change it. When it is blue, which is the default, then you will be using a volume pedal with a single foot switch. But we want to use 2 foot switches, no volume pedal. So we're going to click that and make sure it's white. And now we are going to go to FS3, which is also currently white. So we are in the FS3 position and we click it once, you'll see it also changes color from white to red. And that means the assignment has changed just like it did with the other one. I recommend looking at the manual when you change this, but here's what each color means. When it was white, it meant we were selecting the previous preset. Red is tap tempo or hold for tuner. And also you can change what these onboard foot switches do, which I don't really recommend, but you can if you want to. This is called teal and it's disabling all effects. Light orange is turning distortion on or off, and that's what we want to have this set to. Blue is modulation, green is delay, and this kind of darker orange, this is really going to be difficult for colorblind people, I think. That is the reverb. So if you do have some color blindness, maybe just counting those taps, but we want to go back to this orange. So what's easy to remember if you can see the colors clearly is that the colors correspond with the type, the font, the text around each effect knob. So those of you online who are calling the front of this pedal busy or ugly, maybe it's not like sleek or boutique looking, but it's functional. It's going to keep you from having to pull out a manual each time you change these global settings. And if you are planning on gigging with this, you will be changing those settings. But yes, anyway, I have this set where I want to. Now we're going to go to the other foot switch, FS4. The only difference here is that white, which is the default again, sends you forward a preset instead of back. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4 to control the modulation. And whew, let's see if this worked. I'll turn off the other effects so you can hear it, but it really is turning everything on, like the modulation on and off like it's supposed to. All right, you heard it here first, folks. It worked and it was easy and I'm so happy that it worked. But personally, I am not sure if I'd use this more with a volume pedal or with 2 foot switches, because on one hand, I can drop a volume pedal in front of the Pod Express and control it that way, but it's nice to have volume pedals after distortion, amp, and cabinet. But yeah, let me know in the comments how you'd use the Pod Express. Foot switch and volume pedal, or 2 foot switches. Regardless, this feature is huge for the Pod Express series. Without this functionality, the Pod Express only really works if you don't ever change effects mid-song. And I think a lot of us tend to, you know, maybe hit some boost or something mid-song, but yeah, I want to know what you think. But here are my final thoughts. It rules. It's perfect for beginners who want to get into effects and modeling, but don't know where to start. It's also handy as a really compact fly rig, something to leave at your rehearsal space, an on-the-go interface, and more. And frankly, it's astounding that it's only $180. Obviously, you are a little limited in effects, but I think this will get most players, especially ones who are newer or maybe just not as picky, about 80% of the way there in terms of tone. And for the most part, I'm of the mindset that 80% is often good enough, but I'm sure people disagree with me. But there are 2 issues I've seen people talk about. The first one being that this is made of plastic. I get that complaint. I don't really like plastic in general, but this feels, you know, fairly robust. And if you stick it in your gig bag pocket, your purse, or your backpack, I think you'll be fine. unless you're kicking the hell out of your gear on stage, I think this will hold up well enough. And again, it's $180. Line 6 does have a general 90-day warranty, if I recall correctly, if that kind of thing stresses you out. The other thing that I didn't really think of is that it doesn't have balanced output. So yes, to use this live, you'd probably want to use a DI box. I don't personally think this is a huge deal, but you might. And I mean, for me, any venue will have a bunch of DI boxes laying around. I already have a stereo DI box myself, and I've used other modeling things that don't have balanced outputs live with no problem. But final thoughts, yeah, I really love the Pod Express series. I love the guitar one, I love the bass one. I think it's a game changer and a great value. If you're interested in picking one up, again, please consider using the affiliate links in the video description. And if you like this video, please check out one of the other videos that pops up on screen over here. I'm sure that you'll love them. Thanks for watching. Thanks for understanding. Until next time, my name is Emily. Goodbye.